Okay, tubes, what we've got here is it's a Craftsman 5600 watt, 110 volt or 220 volt generator. And I have tried everything to get this thing going as far as just the basics. I have taken the air cleaner off and used my priming fuel into the carburetor, and it does not even fire. But I do have spark. I've taken the spark plug off of the spark plug, or spark plug wire off of the spark plug, and checked for spark, and we have a great spark. So I'm thinking these motors get run a lot, like they run and run and run and run and run. So I'm hoping that we just have an exhaust and a valve intake valve clearance issue. That's an exhaust and intake valve clearance issue. And so I'm going to take the rest of this apart. There was a little shield here. This shield was on there like that. I just took that off. That's the only piece. Sorry. Back to focus. So now I'm just going to take the valve cover off, and we're going to check the gap on the exhaust and the intake valve. Alright, tubes, I've taken the 4 bolts out. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to disconnect the breather tube. And let's take the cover off. Oh, well, the gasket tore. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay, we need a new gasket, that's obvious. But look at this. So I wonder, that is obviously our problem. So the intake valve wasn't even opening. So that is our problem, folks. I wonder if I can reassemble this with the parts I've got. I don't know. I'm going to play with this for a while, and we'll come back when I have a solution. That was cool. Okay, tubes, I've taken the spark plug out so that we can turn the engine over without fighting it. And I've got the push rod, which is right here, sitting down right into its mated hole there. And I just wanted to make sure nothing bad had happened internally to the engine. So we want to see if this thing still goes up and down. There's the exhaust. Okay, we're watching the pin, or the push rod. There it is. It's going up and down. There's the exhaust. There's the intake, exhaust. So now all I have to do is reassemble this with the hopes I can get it running again. So we're just going to remount the rocker arm. Look on the computer look on the internet for specs. There's a good PDF file just in Briggs and Stratton site. And then we'll tighten and adjust the valves, and we'll start it and see if we can get it running just the way it is. Alright, tubes, it's a 2000 series motor, and it's either 4/1000 of an inch or 6/1000 of an inch. But being as the engine's worn, I'm going to go to 4/1000 of an inch. And that's on this site here, Briggs and Stratton check chart. And I got the information off of the valve cover. And there is the model number, 204412. So I guess all of those are 2000 models. So now let's adjust those valves. Pardon the movement. We're going to go 004. I don't know if you can see that. So now I'm just going to set the engine just a tad bit past top dead center. Well, I'm going to do it, I'm not quite sure. It's too hard to reach in and find the cylinder. So now I'm going to adjust the valve just with the exhaust valve completely compressed, and then I'll do the same thing with the, oops, oh my gosh. I'll do the same thing with the exhaust valve after. Oh, it's a hair adjustment there. Now we'll wait for the intake valve to go down all the way. And we'll do it again. We'll rotate it a couple of times. Loosen the retainer. Oh, that's pretty loose. Pardon me. I'll tighten that up, and then we'll just give her a couple of real good pulls. Good. I'm just going to put my finger over the spark plug to make sure there's compression. It should be. Yep. It's kind of a layman's way to check. Alright tubes, we got the valves adjusted to 4,000 of an inch. And it definitely has an oil pump in it, because I saw some oil starting to work its way out here as I was pulling it over. And now I am going to see if I can give it a start. I'm not going to let it run long, just enough to verify that the drill, which is plugged in on the outlet on the other side. So we'll give it a little bit of primer, my trusty primer. I just love this stuff. Just makes life easier. I'm not going to run it for long because it splatters. You'll be able to see the valves going up and down here. Okay, now I'm going to wipe the oil up. Look at the floor. But that's okay, because it runs. It's alive! Alright tubes, you remember the gasket on this valve cover broke. So right now I had just used the new RTV sealant around here, and it's just on hand tight, and in another 45 minutes I'll come back and I'll tighten these bolts up. I've reattached the crankcase ventilation tube. Now I'm going to change the oil in it, new air filter, and it should be ready for use. So we'll just, like I say, I'm just going to tighten that up at the end of the video there. You probably won't see that. Bye. Hi tubes, Bruce Bender here. I'm finished the generator now, and I'd like to just show you around. It looks pretty good. And then we'll start it up and do a test. I'm going to use a circular saw because the gentleman who owns this is a carpenter. So that's the real world test. And I use to get these gas tanks back to the nice shine like a new one, I use the same stuff that you make your tires look new. It's kind of like a tire renew product or something like that you can buy at your local auto store. That's kind of my own signature on these. I probably should get some goop and glue that label down. But she looks really good. Now, if anybody can tell me, when you start it up, you get two codes, a C1 and a C3. C1 is check oil and a C3 is check air filter, and it never goes away. Now, the one model up from this says to hit the reset button on the unit, but this unit has no reset button. I've been all over it on the back, and so if anybody can tell me that, that'd be great. But I don't think there's a reset button on this one. I think it's just a warning. So let's get you set up, and we'll do this. On, choke, and I believe the gas is turned on. Yes, it is. So that's a big compressor because it's a 10 horsepower motor and 5,600 watts, which was, in the old days, that's all you had on your house was a 5,000 watt service. So anyway, that's a nice old generator. Hopefully my friend gets a few more years out of it. BTHV1 over and out.